you say, Maria, if you could like distill down what you came to newly know in there, or know in a new way, what was that for you?
What if it's okay to feel this way? Because, I know it. And, you tell yourself acceptance, 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 but there's still the daily just speed and everything, And just being in there, I was like, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah, on one hand side, it feels like relief. Like I don't have to be so tough on myself, But then awe too, like of the just the full spectrum of the experience. And like you said, both can coexist too, Yeah, it was really cool to notice the sensations and just like breathe with that sensation and let it move, because my default in the default world, right, as you know, is to like coach myself through different situations, which is a very heady space. And I wonder like what I miss out on by just being in that management performance mode. And so the curiosity is more so being with the sensation without even necessarily like trying to make sense of it, or even understand it, where it came from, what it means, but just really be with it and bringing that awareness to where it's in the body, and before you know it, it's kind of settled, which was cool to experiment and play with over the last couple of days for sure, and to kind of see that transition from like the spooky moments to just very relaxed. I was convinced it was way earlier than it was today. I was like, I didn't sleep long at all. And then here you go. There is definitely a quiet underneath everything. Because this is quiet, but still you hear the birds, you hear the nature, but there is a different kind of quiet, which was very nourishing. I did feel what you talked about, in the orientation, the expansion, contraction, like, and I feel like as days progress, like my ability to be with the expansive moments like longer also helps kind of soothe myself in those more like clingy moments. But I would say the biggest kind of, I think maybe it was day 2 when you invited me to like receive the experience. Like that was, I feel like, a pivotal moment for me, like to move from that like what's happening, like I gotta like find my way through this, to like just leaning back and allowing myself to just receive what was coming up. And after a while, like from being like more in that receptive mode, it was kind of just, I mean, I can't say it was easy, because there were moments still like, okay, we're gonna move around the space, you know, let's take a moment to breathe, orient, and whatnot. But it was a lot more, like it felt a lot more welcoming when I welcomed it. It was welcoming, you know, versus me feeling like, you know, it was, yeah, when I was resisting it, you know. And then, yeah, from that conversation onwards, the more I stayed in that receptive space, it was very, yeah, welcoming and nurturing, loving, quiet, peaceful, all the things. You know, this might change as I kind of digest, you know, but I feel like, you know, after that conversation, it's almost like I was able to, and like I didn't know, I think that that's what I was doing, but I feel like after that conversation, I was almost able to kind of move from my strategizing mode, you know, to more of a, like, something older, truer than that. Because, you know, I shared this with you in my kind of anticipation. I was like, oh, I think it's gonna like feel like, you know, in the womb, you know, like you can't hear anything and you can't see anything and it's kind of dark, you know. So that was my imagination, and I don't have any memories of what it's like in the womb, but I think this probably comes the closest. But I was able to kind of drop to like just a way of being beneath, below, behind the strategizing, you know. Kind of like how when you asked, you know, what it's like being in the quiet, like it's the quiet beneath the quiet. So I feel like I was able to move into that space of just being and sensing and feeling, compared to, you know, because day one I was like, okay, this feels spooky, so I'm gonna minimize my movements around the room. You know, there was definitely that like strategizing going on, and more of that actively like coaching myself through it. And then, yeah, after that conversation and, you know, just allowing myself to receive the experience, I feel like it was more of a like being with the experience rather than like thinking the experience. Because even, you know, when my mind wandered, even that was very different of just allowing myself. I was like, oh, it's okay that my mind is wandering and it's all over the place, you know, without trying to just, you're here, you should press it. Go on. So that's what it feels like right now. Yeah. It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.